Good morning, it's me.
To
I'm
those
just
present at the Xerox
gonna
copy
be.
of Scotland Williams' shoe, all of the unique characteristics matched. For evidence technician Eric Love, the evidence was overwhelming.
We knew that Scotland Williams owned the pair of Model
Hi,
480
Daddy.
from the Xerox. We also knew that Scotland Williams was wearing a shoe that was consistent with a Model 480 BK the day after the murder. So, by analyzing all this evidence, we were able to conclude that indeed Scotland Williams had a pair of 480 BKs, that that type of shoe was found at the crime scene, and that the Xerox of Scotland Williams' shoe was consistent with that found at the crime scene.
If any doubt about Williams' guilt remained, further analysis erased it. Examiners concluded that the brown fibers recovered from the adhesive tape on the note attached to the victim's front door were consistent with fibers from the gardening gloves found in Williams' home. Police believe Williams entered the victim's residence with the intention of burglarizing the house. But when he discovered Jean Gamble and Joseph Thomas sleeping, he pulled out his gun and shot them. He made off with cash and an ATM card, unaware that he had left behind a clue that would lead police right to him. Scotland Williams was tried and convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole, plus 70 years. Scotland Williams killed his victims as they lay in their own bed. But for some murderers, the first step is to get the victim as far away from home as possible. On June 17, 1986, a passing motorist traveling along Highway 97 in Klamath Falls, Oregon, spotted something lying beside the road. It was a sleeping bag, and it seemed to be in good condition. But when he looked inside, he found items that appeared to be blood-stained. Concerned, the motorist collected the items and took them to the Klamath Falls station of the Oregon State Police. There, detectives began searching the bag. They discovered some items of clothing, a pair of white-wing tennis shoes, a woman's purse, and duct tape attached to green paper towels. All of the items appeared to be blood-stained. Inside the purse, investigators found identification belonging to a 20-year-old woman named Carrie Love. To Detective Kenneth Cooper, the items suggested foul play.
Carrie Love.
It was obvious that we had a female that was missing or possibly a homicide because of the amount of blood on the tennis shoes and in the sleeping bag itself. And the wad of paper towels had duct tape in different layers on it. And when I started opening the paper towels, I noticed clear indentation of what I thought was a nose and the chin area. And it appeared that the paper towels were put on the face.
Other items found inside the purse indicated Carrie Love worked for Northern Star Trucking Company, located more than 400 miles away in Seattle, Washington. Detectives contacted the company and learned that Carrie had recently left on a business trip from Seattle to Los Angeles with the company's owner, 42-year-old Jesse Pratt. They were traveling in his 18-wheeler, and their route would have put them passing through Klamath Falls. The information, along with the blood-stained items found along the highway, led investigators to fear the worst. They decided to return to Highway 97, but now they believed they were looking for Carrie Love's body. hours, the search turned up nothing. And with the vast stretch of highway and the dozens of rest areas, Carrie Love could be anywhere. But then, Detective Cooper remembered one isolated spot in particular, the Chelmsford rest area.
There's no facilities there. It's totally unlit. It's behind a full wall of trees. It's totally secluded, and at night, it's absolutely pitch black. And that would be an ideal place to pull a body and cover him up with the gravel.
When the detective arrived at the location, he realized his instincts had been dead on. Partially buried underneath a pile of gravel lay the lifeless body of a young woman. For investigators, there was no doubt that Carrie Love had been found. Blood-stained items found along a highway in Klamath Falls, Oregon, led police to the body of 20-year-old Carrie Love, an employee of a Seattle trucking company who disappeared while traveling to Los Angeles on business with her boss. And the evidence suggested her death had been a brutal one. She had been stabbed repeatedly. Her crushed head and torso indicated she had been run over by a large vehicle. Strange bruises on her arm appeared to be tire tracks. Detectives meticulously documented and collected every scrap of evidence. Seeing the young woman so brutalized only intensified Detective Kenneth Cooper's resolve to see that her killer was brought to justice.
When you run into something that bad, it's hard not to get personal. It's important that you do everything correct. Because at this point, you know beyond any doubt, if you don't do it perfect, you could lose it in court. And you can't afford to do that. Because at that point, we become this person's mouthpiece. We're the ones that's going to scream justice for her because she's unable to at this point.
At autopsy, the medical examiner determined that Carrie had been asphyxiated, then stabbed 12 times before being run over. The stab wounds were consistent with those caused by an ice pick or a knitting needle. She had also been raped, though no usable biological evidence was recovered. Other than the tread impressions, the only clues to the killer's identity were some red cotton fibers found in the victim's hands.
The day I dropped her off.
As word of Carrie's murder spread through her hometown of Seattle, her boyfriend came in to speak with police there. He believed that Carrie's boss, 42-year-old Jesse Pratt, had something to do with the murder. He said Pratt had a strange fixation with Carrie. In fact, a month earlier, he and Carrie attended a high school prom together. As they were leaving, the boyfriend spotted Jesse Pratt sitting in his car across the street. He was just watching them. The boyfriend confirmed that the last time he saw Carrie was when she and Pratt left the Northern Star Trucking Company heading to Los Angeles. That was 2 days before Carrie's body was discovered in Oregon. Seattle police began trying to locate Jesse Pratt, the last person seen with Carrie Love. The receptionist at Northern Star Trucking had not heard from her boss since he left for Los Angeles a few days earlier. As the questioning continued, a call came in.
This is Mona. Hey, Jesse.
It was Jesse Pratt.
The detective's here and he's asking if Carrie's missing. Sure, just 1 second.
Jesse.
Seeming eager to cooperate, he told police he and Carrie had left Seattle together on June 16th.
Now.
But an hour or so after leaving, she decided she wanted to fly to Los Angeles instead. He believed she became uncomfortable being with him after the two had consensual sex. Pratt said he drove her to the Seattle airport and continued on to Los Angeles. He said he was currently in Phoenix, Arizona, making a delivery, but he would be back in Seattle the following day. But police didn't want to wait. An APB was issued for his rig.